What if the person disturbing your peace is not your enemy, but the test you were sent to pass? Every day, you encounter people who criticize you, manipulate you, provoke you, drain you, or make you question your own worth. And the instinctive reaction is usually the same. Fight back, explain yourself, prove them wrong, or spend hours replaying the situation in your mind. But the Stoics would ask a completely different question. Why are you giving another person permission to control your inner world? Imagine this. You walk into work one morning feeling calm, you slept well, you have a clear plan for the day. Then someone makes a passive-aggressive comment about you in front of everyone. Suddenly, your mood changes, your heart races, you think about what they said, you imagine what you should have said, you replay the conversation again and again. Hours later, that person has already forgotten the entire interaction, but you are still carrying it. This is where Stoicism becomes more than philosophy. It becomes a weapon for protecting your peace. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced something far more difficult than an annoying coworker. He ruled an enormous empire, dealt with political enemies, betrayal, war, disease, and people who constantly sought power around him. Yet in his meditations, he repeatedly reminded himself that other people's behavior was outside his control. He could control his judgment, his response, and his character. He wrote, in essence, that the best revenge is not to become like the person who wronged you. Think about the power of that idea. If someone is cruel to you, and you become cruel in return, they have already influenced who you are. If someone is dishonest, and their dishonesty makes you abandon your own integrity, they have taken something from you far more valuable than your comfort. They have taken control of your character. And this is the first lesson. Toxic people become dangerous when they enter your mind and start living there rent-free. You cannot always control who enters your life. You cannot control someone's personality, their insecurity, their jealousy, their bitterness, or their need for attention. But you can control how much access they have to your thoughts. Epictetus understood this deeply. He taught that human beings are disturbed not simply by events, but by the judgments they make about those events. Someone insults you. The insult itself is only a sound. What creates the suffering is the story you attach to it. They disrespected me. Everyone must think I'm weak. I need to defend myself. I need to make them regret it. Now the external event has become an internal war. And notice something important. Toxic people often want exactly that reaction. They provoke you because your emotional reaction gives them power. They criticize you because they know you will defend yourself. They create chaos because they know you will enter the chaos with them. But the Stoic learns to step back. Not because he is weak. Because he understands that attention is a currency. Every minute you spend obsessing over someone is a minute of your life that person has taken from you. Imagine someone throws a stone at you. You can pick it up, carry it for 10 miles, complain about how heavy it is, and tell everyone who threw it. Or you can leave it on the ground and keep walking. That is emotional detachment. It does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean tolerating abuse. It does not mean allowing people to disrespect your boundaries. It means refusing to surrender your peace simply because someone else has lost theirs. Seneca understood that anger often feels like strength, but it is actually a form of slavery. When anger controls you, the person who provoked you is holding the remote control to your emotions. So when someone tries to provoke you, pause. Do not answer immediately. Do not send the message while angry. Do not make the decision while emotional. Create distance between the stimulus and your response. That tiny pause is where freedom lives. There is another important Stoic principle. Not every battle deserves your energy. Modern culture often teaches us that we must respond to everything. Someone posts something about you, respond. Someone insults you, respond. Someone misunderstands you, explain yourself. Someone talks behind your back, confront them. But why? Ask yourself, will responding improve my life? Will it protect something important? Will it correct a meaningful injustice? Or am I simply trying to satisfy my wounded ego? This question can save you years of unnecessary conflict. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to focus on what was necessary and useful. He did not have the luxury of reacting emotionally to every person around him. Neither do you. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Silence can be a boundary. Distance can be a boundary. Leaving can be a boundary. And saying no can be a complete sentence. One of the greatest mistakes people make with toxic individuals is trying to change them. They think, if I explain myself better, they'll understand. If I show them kindness, they'll change. If I prove that I'm a good person, they'll stop treating me badly. But Stoicism teaches you to separate your responsibilities from those of others. Your responsibility is your character. Their responsibility is theirs. You can offer reason, you can offer kindness, you can communicate clearly, but you cannot force another human being to become self-aware. Trying to control another person's character is like trying to command the weather. You can scream at the sky all day. The storm will still be the storm. What you can control is whether you stay outside getting soaked. This is where boundaries become essential. A Stoic does not say, I must tolerate everything because I cannot control other people. No, Vendiv. The Stoic says, I cannot control your behavior, but I can control your access to me. That distinction changes everything. If someone repeatedly insults you, reduce contact. If someone manipulates you, stop explaining yourself endlessly. If someone constantly creates drama, stop participating in it. If someone repeatedly violates your boundaries, enforce consequences. Peace does not always come from fixing the relationship. Sometimes peace comes from accepting that the relationship needs distance. And here we arrive at one of the hardest Stoic lessons. You must stop expecting unreasonable people to behave reasonably. Think about how much frustration comes from expectation. You expect someone to apologize. They don't. You expect them to recognize what they did. They don't. You expect them to treat you fairly. They don't. And every time reality fails to match your expectation, you suffer. But what if you stop being surprised? What if instead of saying, I can't believe they did that again, you simply recognized, this is who they have consistently shown themselves to be? That is not cynicism. That is observation. The Stoic does not need to hate the snake to stop reaching into its nest. You can understand someone's wounds without volunteering to become their target. You can forgive someone without inviting them back into your life. You can wish someone well from a distance. This is emotional maturity. And perhaps the most powerful thing you can do when dealing with toxic people is to refuse to let their behavior define your identity. Someone calls you selfish. Does that automatically make you selfish? Someone calls you a failure. Does that make you a failure? Someone doesn't appreciate you. Does that reduce your value? No. Other people's opinions are not verdicts. They are information, sometimes useful, sometimes completely wrong. Epictetus taught his students to examine impressions before accepting them as truth, and you should do the same. When someone attacks you, ask, is there anything true in this criticism? If there is, learn from it. If there isn't, release it. Either way, you win. Because now their words have become useful instead of destructive. This is the Stoic transformation, turning insults into information, conflict into discipline, rejection into independence, and difficult people into opportunities to practice virtue. The toxic person may become the very person who teaches you patience. The manipulator may teach you boundaries. The critic may teach you emotional independence. The betrayer may teach you discernment. The difficult person may reveal how much control you still give to external circumstances. And suddenly, the enemy becomes a teacher. But there is one final lesson. Do not become obsessed with protecting your peace. Because ironically, that can become another form of attachment. You will encounter rude people. You will encounter selfish people. You will encounter dishonest people. You will encounter people who misunderstand you. You will encounter people who dislike you for reasons you may never understand. That is life. Your goal is not to create a world where nobody disturbs you. Your goal is to become the kind of person who cannot easily be disturbed. That is a much greater form of freedom. Marcus Aurelius did not control Rome. He did not control the people around him. He did not control whether others respected him. But he could control whether he remained honorable. Seneca could not control fortune, exile, political instability, or death. But he could control the quality of his mind. Epictetus had even less external power, yet he understood something that many powerful people never learn. True freedom begins when you stop demanding that the world obey your preferences. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remember this. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to answer every insult. You do not have to prove yourself to everyone. You do not have to explain your worth. And you certainly do not have to become cruel simply because someone else is. Take a breath. Step back. Observe. Choose your response. Protect your character. Protect your attention. Protect your peace. Because at the end of the day, the greatest victory over a toxic person is not making them regret what they did. It is reaching the point where what they did no longer controls who you are. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson of Stoicism. Your peace was never supposed to depend on the behavior of other people. The world will always contain difficult people. There will always be someone who misunderstands you, provokes you, envies you, or tries to pull you down. But you have a choice. You can become a reflection of their chaos, or you can become proof that chaos does not have to enter your soul. So walk away when you need to. Speak when it matters. Set boundaries without hatred. Forgive without forgetting wisdom. And most importantly, never surrender your inner kingdom to someone who cannot control their own. Because the moment you realize that your peace belongs to you, you become very difficult to manipulate. And that is when you become free.